The Halal Travel Podcast.
Assalamualaikum everyone. Today we have Siddique from Convert Central, a podcast that focuses on the challenges that Muslim converts face along the conversion journey to help Muslims from all backgrounds. So we're really excited to have Siddique here. It's also the first time that we have
a physical guest, right?
Guest.
Yes.
Yeah, and also someone who is from another podcast kind of platform. So welcome, and maybe you can share a bit more about yourself.
Thank you so much for the invite. Actually, it's so interesting because it's also one of my first few times recording physically. I'm Siddique Lim, and my Muslim friends call me Siddique. So I'm 23 this year, and I'm a student in Singapore Management University.
Mm-hmm.
I took my Shahada in 2018 when I was about 20 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So it's been about 3 years since I was a Muslim. And I on the sideline, I have a project called Convert Central, where we share convert stories and some content that converts would appreciate in their Islamic journeys. So thank you so much for the invite.
No worries.
Yeah, likewise, man.
Yeah, I think you have achieved or you've done so much at such a young age. I think that was one of the reasons why we wanted to have you on board and really kind of like understand your journey or like hear more about it. I know Hazra has a lot of questions about your revert journey.
Now? We're starting now?
Okay, go, shoot.
Okay. So,
wow.
you are 23.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, if you are listening to this podcast and you're wondering how he looks like, go on to our YouTube channel.
Ya Allah.
Share, like, and subscribe. Okay, basically, you're 23.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of anyone who is 23 or younger do a shahada or like convert or revert.
You even at 20, which is really young.
Yes, 20. 21.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what made you take that step, basically?
I actually got introduced to Islam when I was about 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, through a JC friend. But I would share some backstory at first. I grew up as a very normal Chinese kid. Just like my entire childhood focus was on the playground and we didn't do much. Growing up, my family was they were practicing Taoism, so they also brought me together with their practices. But I didn't really see it as religion. I didn't really know what religion was then, as compared to most Muslims when they're growing up. They know this is Islam. But when my family they were practicing like burning the Joss papers and all, I was just following as if it was a family thing. So religion as a concept didn't really speak out to me when I was young. So that carried all the way until through primary school. But funny thing was that I've never interacted with a Malay or Indian kid all the way until I was Sec 1.
Okay.
Because
I was in an all Chinese primary school,
Yes.
Hongwen school.
Makes sense.
Right, so
what school is that?
Hongwen school, it's all the way in Boon Kheng. Yeah, so when I first spoke to like a Malay or an Indian in a school setting, I was quite scared because like the other experiences I've had with them was at the playground and like
Oh, those kids. I see. I get it now. Yeah.
right. So they would steal my soccer ball and
Yeah.
yeah.
Stereotypical, but
Yeah, when I was actually in Sec 1, I was actually quite afraid of them, and I didn't see eye to eye with Muslims then, which was quite funny. I was in Temasek Secondary School, so a lot of students there, they were Muslim students. So I didn't know much about Islam. The only thing I knew was that there was this 1 month every year that the recess queues would be so much shorter.
I see. Ramadan you're talking about. Okay.
Then every Friday we would end at 12:45.
Yes. That's true.
say thank you now.
Thank you. So perks of being majority Muslim school, right?
Yeah.
So even then, like all the way from Sec 1 to Sec 4, I didn't really see religion as a thing. The only other time I had interaction with religion was in Sec 3. So I don't know if you guys have the same experiences. We are of slightly different generations. But like in Sec 3, all the cool kids were Christians. And they will go to church and they will sing few songs.
Okay, I know.
You know, you guys know, right?
There's a young kind of youth band. And
Right. And they're always the popular kids.
Okay.
So wanting to be like
Is it
popular.
this an East Sider versus West Sider kind of thing? Oh, okay. I don't
But
know.
most of my life was on the east side, so I'm not really sure. I went to a JC in the west side at Bukit Timah. So that's that. But my entire east life was located at Upper East Coast Road. So I joined them at church, wanting to be cool.
Okay, now it ring a bell. Okay, I get it. Okay.
So on Sundays, I would go to the church and I would sing few songs with them. And then like one particular Sunday, I think it was my third or fourth time with them. everyone stopped and the guy on stage was like, okay, everyone close their eyes. Who wants to like be a Christian now? Like who feels the spirit entering you? I was not there for the feels. I was there like to be popular.
Okay,
I was like, no, I don't feel anything.
Okay, we see your priorities.
I don't feel anything entering
I don't want
me.
any commitment. I'm just here for the
Right.
Okay.
So very casual. I was
Yeah.
casual. So I stopped going to the church from then because I didn't feel like I was at the right place at the point of time. So,
Does it feel like you're taking advantage?
not really. I didn't understand it. So I just felt a bit weird, like being there. Maybe because of my intentions then. So because of that, I just stopped it going. I didn't explore that realm, anymore. So religion was always like a back of my mind thing. I was a free thinker. My mom's side, they are very open. On my dad's side, they are Taoist. So my mom didn't really enforce a religion on me. So I just grew up a very normal secular Chinese kid. I went to NJC, National Junior College, all the way at Bukit. So that was when 17, 18. I was at a phase in my life where I was just waiting for like me to hit 18 so I can go to like all the clubs at Clarke Quay, queuing up and waiting, right? Right, and that was actually like when I found out about Islam. Like through, I was at leadership camp at the end of my JC1, and then I met this Muslim girl that was, I thought she was Indian at first, but she turned out to be Malay. So I was actually interested in her. Back then, she was 1 year younger than me. So when I started to know her, I realized that, okay, if I wanted to, go into a long-term relationship with her, I had to become a Muslim first. If you want to get
Yeah,
married, right?
that's true.
So it was so tough because the rules that I had to learn regarding Islam, she was alhamdulillah, she's such a good Muslim. So she would like say, okay, we can't go out unless we have 3 people. And like there's no physical touch and like before this certain timing she has to be home and all. So as a 18-year-old kid waiting to go to Clarke Quay, you're like, wait, what? That's nonsense. I started going out beyond 10 o'clock after Sec 1, like my mom, I just had to tell my mom I was going out. To ask. And then now like I'm going back to like all the way out of primary school and I have to ask your mom if I can bring you out and all. So like the first few months was pretty tough. I became a Muslim 20 years old, so I took about 1.5 years to learn about Islam. But what the change was, it really came when I first visited the mosque. It was Ba'alawi, all the way at Stevens and Martin. So I thought it would be like the church. I thought I was going there to sing some songs and then someone on stage is going to ask me,
Are you going to be a Muslim now?
Right, so I was like, oh man, like just a repeat, right? I felt like I was going there because she wanted me to be there.
Okay.
I was also quite apprehensive. So they linked me up with a brother at the mosque and then he was bringing me around. I was so shocked, like even though I obviously look out of place at the mosque, like no one asked me like, oh, what are you doing here? Why are you here? And you were just asking, okay, have you eaten? Do you have enough to eat or drink? Try the famous bandung at Balawi and all, right? So I was I felt so at home. And then no one asked me whether I wanted to be a Muslim or not. They were just making sure that I was at home first before saying anything else. So that was when I really opened my heart to Islam, knowing that okay, this is not a religion that people would say on the internet. And I my closest friends in secondary school turned out to be Muslims. Like eventually, I grew up and then realized that okay, Muslims and Malays are cool. Right. So my best friends were Muslims from secondary school, so I got to see like Islam from that perspective, knowing that these are great people with a lot of success in their lives and they have such good morals and characters. So I from that experience at the mosque, it opened my heart to Islam. At the mosque, I recall I was looking at the wall and there was these like Arabic words on the wall. And I was asking the Imam, what does this mean? And he told me that this is actually a verse in the Quran that says there's no compulsion in religion. I think in the chapter of the Quran. So that was when it hit me because I didn't know of a concept that says there's no compulsion in religion, because everything about religion I knew was that I had to follow my family when I was going into justice. And when I went to the church with my friends, I wanted to be popular. It was never because of myself. So that clicked. The moment clicked when I realized that okay, religion didn't mean much to me because I always thought it was for other people. Like the benefit of religion always came in a social setting, not a spiritual one. So I was like, okay, wait, it seems like this religion has gotten their things right, And that was when I decided, okay, let's take a long and hard look at Islam. Yeah, so that was when I got first exposed to Islam. One of my biggest challenges coming to Islam was that growing up as a very secular kid, I took like biochemistry in secondary school.
Oh, I totally understand
Right.
that. I was from physics
Right,
instead of
right,
biology.
right.
Yeah, I totally get it.
So I guess all of us have that. Oh, okay, speak closer. Okay. So I guess all of us have that moment in our lives where we like question religion. Is it really logical or not?
Yep.
Does it make sense?
Mm.
So for me, it was a big thing because I grew up very based on like hypotheses and a control experiment, and then after that you come up with a conclusion.
Yep.
But then it always seems like religion is on the other spectrum. Talking about God and faith and all. So I was thinking, okay, if I were to become someone of faith, then would I have to disregard everything that I learned and grew up with? And then if that was the case, I wouldn't have became a Muslim. But then when I was learning more about Islam, I got introduced to Darul Arqam, Muslim Converts Association of Singapore. They have a library on the third floor of the building. So I always went there to learn whether the Quran was something that was man-made or was it not man-made. Because to me, it felt like if the Quran, I could prove that it was man-made, then to me the entire religion wouldn't make sense because so much of Islam is based on the Quran itself.
Yes.
But funny enough, the more I learned about the Quran, the more I realized that okay, it can't be written by like one man himself. And as I learned more about Islam, I realized that Islam also encourages Muslims to seek knowledge and to see the signs of you know, faith and you know in this world itself. So that was when I took a rational conclusion. Okay, I think Islam is something that is logical and it makes sense for it to be a natural step if you want to take a religion. So I felt like that was when I was logically ready to become a Muslim. That was way back in 2017, late 2017. So the hard part is to tell your parents and your family about it.
Yeah.
So I was thinking, okay, wait, I just procrastinate as a 19-year-old. I was in NS then, let's just procrastinate, and I was like, okay, I have to find the right time. And you know, Chinese people, we like to find auspicious dates.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I need to find a good date for my family. And I procrastinated all the way till I was at Arqam's website. I was always looking at the resources and the features and all. Then one day I saw this conversion resource, like it's to book a conversion appointment. And I was just tinkling with it, like the dates and the time, right? And I was like clicking next. And the second next I clicked, I realized that it wasn't next because it went to like, you have booked a conversion appointment.
It was accidental. Oh my god.
I was like, oh, I was gonna kill me because it's next week, right? And I was like, okay, maybe this is a sign. So I should just go with it and see how it goes. So my mom is a Malaysian, so she grew up in Malaysia. She knows what Islam is, and she's not. She knows that Islam is a good thing, and she was just more worried that I would make a rash decision. So. Of course, you know, as a mom, your son has a Muslim girlfriend, you kind of know what's coming, right? So she was like, okay, you know, I'm not saying no, but I don't want you to make a bad decision. So could you put it off like for half a year, and if you still want it, then we can go for it.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, but I kind of booked it next week. So she was like, I'm gonna kill you. But she said, okay, I will help you communicate this to the family. But I'm still gonna kill you after the conversion. So she did give me she grilled me after that to not do something like that ever again. But she did help me through the journey. I recall the very first few times I ever talked about Islam to my family was, and this is not a good example. I bring it up as a bad example for people. I was telling them that I wanted to become Muslim through a WhatsApp group. So my family has a WhatsApp group.
I see. Okay.
I was like, okay, I'm gonna tell everybody that I'm gonna become a Muslim. Like through an announcement on the WhatsApp group itself. So I typed a long message about rationale and everything, and I sent it to the group. And it backfired so badly because okay, do you have your permission? You're just 18, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, wait, I should never ever talk about that ever again. So my mom helped me with that aspect. The second time I asked if I could convert. So that was that, and then 7th Jan on 2018 I became a Muslim.
I think it actually really helped that your mom is a free thinker, so she helped you through the whole entire Islam journey. Wow, you mentioned earlier just now that your story is not that interesting. I would say
it is.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
Because we interview a lot of converts on Convert Central, right? So they always have very, very interesting stories like, they had to strive so much because their family wasn't supportive, or they had so much issues coming from their previous religion. But I was just a free thinker, a JC kid, quite privileged, to be in JC and then going to university. And then I came to Islam. So I would always like see like these like inspirational figures, and I think, okay, they're so inspiring. And my story is just like,
But you see, if you think about it in a different light, that your life is quite average as per how a lot of people are, and then you share your story. Perhaps that's the way that they could also, revert as well. Like we mentioned about the stereotypes that you had as a Chinese guy, and then about the Malays and the Muslims as well, and then how you actually pursued to go to the mosque and that changed your mind. Then I think a lot of people would be able to relate to that actually.
Right. Actually, that's a big reason why we do Convert Central. Because when I was discovering Islam, and I reckon for many converts as well, we felt like it was a weird thing. Like we are going out of the norm to find something that the media has criticized and all. It felt so weird, but the reason why we wanted to showcase convert stories is to show that everywhere around us there are people who do the same. And we can normalize it so that when people are searching out Islam, it feels to them that as if it's normal. It's just the next phase of their life where they are contemplating at a larger place.
I think that says a lot about your podcast, because my next question is, what made you start Convert Central podcast? And I would think that it would be difficult to kind of reach out to that many people, but you guys are already into your third season, and how are you searching for them? Are they mostly converts at Darul Arqam, or why the reason behind really why you started it?
I think it's a lot of reasons why we started Convert Central, but I think the biggest reason last year why we started was because of circuit breaker. So I think I mentioned to you guys just now before we started the podcast that it started as a side project. So like when our course ended, it was supposed to end, just as a 5 podcasting we're trying out. But then when we started our program in January last year, and it's supposed to end about March or April. But then in April, circuit breaker came, phase 1. And that was also Ramadan, if you guys remember the same period. So normally in Ramadan, converts would spend Ramadan with their friends. Like we have no family members who are Muslim. Right? So iftar with friends, sahur with friends, Tarawih with friends. But because of circuit breaker, most of us are at home. So we lose a lot of that kind of support. For if let's say if you're born Muslim, if you don't have friends outside, you can just go home and iftar will be there, and your Tarawih, you guys can pray with your parents and all. So that's something that converts struggle a lot with. Because we are now isolated and alone. And Arqam at that time was also adjusting to the circuit breaker, requirements and all. And they didn't have a lot of programs out yet. So we realized that actually if there was a time to be capitalizing on a podcast platform to talk about our convert stories, it will be then. Because if at least we can provide them a virtual setting where their stories will be heard and be related to. So that was when actually we realized, okay, we want to help the community of converts by coming out with the podcast. Always in our mind, we would envision that convert that took his or her shahada in early March. And then came April, Ramadan came, and circuit breaker came. And now they're at home. Their parents might not know whether they are converts or not. They have to struggle with Ramadan. So that was a big reason, a contextual one, why we started Convert Central. But behind all that was also because as a convert, I took my shahada in 2018. So it's been 3 years since then. So I told you guys how I came to Islam, but after that, of course, the girl that brought me to Islam, she played a huge part in my faith. But I think end 2018 we separated. So that was in a phase of my life where it was very what's that called? It was very
limbo.
Yeah, I was in limbo. It was such a rapidly changing phase of my life because I was a pilot trainee in the Air Force. So being a Muslim in the Air Force as a pilot trainee is really there, and there's so many stereotypes associated, so many things you have to grapple with. And I was in Australia then for 10 months. So we separated when I was in Australia. I wasn't praying 5 times a day. I didn't know about Islam. The only Arabic I knew was just Al-Fatiha so that I could pray. So when we separated, I didn't have a Quran with me even. So that was when I realized that I needed a lot of support. I came back to Singapore and I actually had a lot of support from people at Darul Arqam, and they linked me up with other converts. And that really helped me to not just heal from the breakup, but also to realize that, okay, I want to be a Muslim that stays in Islam because of the religion. And because of the kind of support that we have had, I've enjoyed, like, at that phase of my life, I realized that so many converts can benefit from the same support that we can provide them.
Yeah.
And that was the reason why Convert Central was started as well.
That's really amazing. Oh my god.
Fun fact, we also did a podcast because of the circuit breaker.
Yeah, actually, yeah, that's right.
Right. I think circuit breaker accelerated like
A lot of new
podcasting in
things
Singapore,
actually.
right?
Yes,
Right.
yes,
Yeah.
definitely.
Suddenly we become podcasters.
Add it to your LinkedIn bio.
Anyway.
For us, it was just something that for a long time, we said we wanted to do, and we wanted to do it before everyone else was doing it, and then we did it at a time when everyone else was doing it.
Yeah. Also because I think we wanted to be like perfect.
That's true. We
And then,
want it to be. I want to do it right. Like
Yeah, I want to do it right.
yeah.
But like you just have to start, you know.
That's true.
So if you want to be a podcaster, just do now. Honestly.
Right. It's so much more important to get your content out instead of making sure that everything is perfect. We also wanted everything to be perfect when we first started. So we have to buy a condenser mic, get the filters and all. But slowly we transited to Zoom recording because we realized also that Zoom is like 80% there. To get like 100%, we have to have a big setup. But we realized that the important thing is that we get the content out. It's audible. There's not too much background disturbances, and we can start the entire podcast channel.
Yeah.
I think a lot of the my bad. No, I think a lot of content creators, especially when you want to come up with a content, for instance, you want to be a YouTuber, you want to be an influencer, all they want to think about is perfectionistic. And you were right actually when you're saying about put your content out there first. If it gets the traction, then you work on like improving a little bit, right? Yeah, I think if there is a 1% growth rule kind of thing where after each episode, after each recording that you do, think about what you can improve on for the next one, and slowly it'll be compounded. I think the compound effect. Yes.
Yeah. I do think ever since our second season, right? Because second season had guests. So I feel like no matter how bad your audio is, right? The most important thing is the stories. I think for you guys' podcast, I think your best asset is like the stories itself, which we cannot hear anywhere else other than like people from Darul Arqam or like if you happen to stumble across people from Instagram, etc.
Yeah, actually, funny story is that the fact that, Convert Central, I didn't know it was based in Singapore or that you were the one who created it actually. So now that I know that it's actually based in Singapore and, it's closer to home, then I realized that, oh my God, we have a lot of potential as a small country.
Right. Actually, we also started with the vision that Islam is the fastest growing religion in Singapore. So that just means purely by statistics, you're more likely to see a convert, like in the future, much more likely. You'll be either working with a convert, your children are going to be married to converts. So this issue of what converts are facing in the community, it's not going to go away anytime soon.
Yeah.
So that's why we realized that there's not a lot of people focusing on it, and the existing Islamic content online also caters more to born Muslims because they talk about concepts that are slightly more advanced. So we wanted to bring this content up there, so that at least we're not doing it perfect. So because we don't see ourselves as like an educational podcast, it's more like a casual listen podcast, right? So we just wanted to bring it up there and see where we go from there.
For sure, yeah.
But definitely when we started season 1, we didn't know there was going to be a season 3.
It was just a pilot test lah.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Good. So you mentioned very briefly about Ramadan and how converts, some of them, their Ramadan is different for a lot of us. And I think after hearing that, I think I feel very privileged and very lucky that, going home, like every year there's something to expect. Every Ramadan is the same. How was your first Ramadan? Was it after you reverted, or was it before that even?
My first Ramadan that I experienced, I wasn't fasting, but I was with my the one who brought me to Islam family. So I wasn't fasting, but I saw how they fasted, and then I went on with them for Hari Raya. So I kind of saw what Ramadan was and how they fasted. Funny thing was that I didn't want to fast. I was like, okay, I'm gonna be a Muslim. I'm gonna pray. I'm gonna say my shahada, but I'm not gonna fast. I'm not.
Why?
Just gonna eat.
It's very overwhelming actually for one person to do everything at one shot.
I know, but like, why just one?
Oh,
But it's something we call selective Islam. So like
there is a term for it.
Yeah, there is.
Who is we when you say we?
Yeah.
We call it Darul Arqam.
Ah.
So the Arqam people don't fast.
Yeah.
Say that lah, walao.
But they term this observation of how converts would take parts of Islam and reject other parts as selective Islam.
Okay.
Because some parts of the religion, inevitably when we learn about religion itself, they will sit right where we believe, but other parts where, why do I have to pay the zakat? Why do I have to fast?
Right.
They don't really sit in where we would normally interact with in terms of how we see our world.
Okay.
So that was me, because in JC I was a bodybuilder. I was like, okay, I need to hit weight targets,
Okay.
right? And then I was like, okay, fasting is not gonna work for me. It's not gonna work out for my plans. So I was like, okay, I'm not gonna fast. And also as a NS kid, I was saving up, and I was like, I'm not gonna pay zakat 2.5% on my zakat. So that was all the way, even like 1 year into Islam, I was also feeling that way. I was also grappling with fasting, right? So my first actual Ramadan was actually, I think either in 2018 or 2019. It was in 2018. I recall. I was in the Air Force, and I started fasting for the first time. And like I said earlier, I think the biggest challenge is not the fast itself, but finding people that will relate to the fact that you fasted.
Yeah.
So it's tough enough as it is to fast one full day, but if you go back home and you just have dinner, right, a normal dinner with family, it just feels like nothing has happened for the day. You don't really feel like
An accomplishment,
right, exactly,
yeah.
right. So people at Darul Arqam, they invited me over to their staff room to breakfast with them.
Oh.
Yeah, and I really appreciated it, because they was like, okay, how was the day? They will ask me, was it tough for you? You did well, I felt like, I was really, really in a community of Muslims that were helping me there and then. But I also recognize that I'm just one of the few that are lucky enough to know people at Darul Arqam. And most of the converts in Singapore, I think the biggest population of converts in Singapore, they are Filipinos. So they are mostly domestic helpers that have 1 day off their week, and they won't want to spend in Darul Arqam. They want to spend in Orchard Road and other places. So we don't really catch them physically in the compound itself. Yeah.
This is the first time I'm listening that most of the converts are Filipinos.
Yep.
What? I didn't know that.
We have multinational clubs in Darul Arqam. So the Filipino club, they call it the Mabuhay Club.
Filipino
They are
club.
always like armies of people.
Is it?
Yeah.
They are converts.
Yeah, converts.
What?
Oh my gosh, okay. I really love the fact that everything starts off with a community, and sometimes we all think that you can do it everything alone and everything, and you have the grit and everything. But then I realized through your stories as well as the other people's stories that community is something like the backbone of society, and each one of us have something part to play.
Oh, no.
I can't wait. I get emotional.
But it looks like Darul Arqam really kind of is like
Really
a second
helps you,
family
yeah.
to you, and like really is a support system that I think is it helps every convert, at least in Singapore, physically. So I mean, Ramadan itself, fasting and things. But how was adapting to your new diet like for your family? Like your mom, did she have to kind of cook?
Separately.
Understand the terms and like have different
right.
pots and pans.
Right. So my mom and my grandma, I was lucky because they came from Malaysia. So they would have quite a good knowledge on what we eat and what we don't.
Yep.
So my grandma does most of the cooking at home. And at first it was slightly tough because I didn't know what to tell her or what not to tell her.
Yeah.
But over time I realized that, like what you said, like 1% after every day, then that compounds, right? So what happened was that I just kept going to IKEA to buy like one fork or one spoon.
Oh my god,
So
that's so cute.
Yeah, one by one I brought it home, and then I created my own halal corner.
Oh, that's so cute. Oh my god.
Okay, do not touch. Mine, and
So in the office,
Right. So
Halal.
eventually I was like, I have enough to say, okay, when we are cooking halal, right, which is the halal chicken, I had to ask her, okay, just go to the Muslim butcher that sells halal chicken, that was actually tougher than getting the utensils home because like the chicken seller is a friend. So
Oh no, she's really on her friend.
right, so I have to tell her like, okay, don't buy from your friend.
Oh no.
Buy from the halal seller so that I can eat it. So okay, now we worked it out. So she buys the most of the meat from the non halal one, and then whatever I eat, she buys from the halal seller.
Okay.
So whatever halal she cooks will be on my pots and pans. But that was like after 3 months of like continuously bringing things home.
Yeah.
Trying to set up a system that will work. Yeah.
Yeah, everything slowly starts from somewhere.
Yeah.
But it's so cute. Oh my god. And I really like the fact that your grandmother is very accommodating as well.
Right.
Yeah, but I think one of the important thing is that you don't just like overwhelm somebody with everything. I need this. Slowly build it up.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Think
cool.
about that, like, has there ever been a time where like you find it difficult to explain to your mom something Islamic? Like your mom will be like, why cannot do this? Why cannot do that? Has there ever been a time?
Right, yes. Actually, most of the time, is when we first start out in Islam that we feel like, okay, we are so enthusiastic about religion. We want to talk about religion and we just learn all these things that we want to share, right? So naturally, like my mom being supportive, she would be the one that I talk to at home about religion. So, and of course, like the family is always tough because of the way you interact, and it's always a test for us, right? So, my mom has always been very casual about religion, like as compared to where I was when I became a Muslim. It became like the center of my life. So for her, it was like as most free thinkers do. She had it. If she doesn't have it, she doesn't have it. So she's experimented with like Christianity and also at times like Buddhism and Taoism as well. So like to tell her about Islam is something that is always like pretty tough for me to contextualize. So I've tried, sometimes it leads to like unhappiness in the family, but over time as we learn more about Islam, I realized that okay, I probably can show it more through my actions than what I share with her. So I eventually ended up with, let's just try to be as good as a son to her as I can, and hopefully if she sees the benefit in my life from Islam, then she can take a long hard look into Islam herself.
Yeah.
True.
It's really true. It's like one of those instances where actions really speak louder than
Yeah.
words.
Right.
Yep.
That's true.
And I saw not recently, but you went to Umrah.
Yes.
How was that experience for you?
That was actually my ORD trip.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow, that's so interesting. Okay.
Because I was a pilot trainee, so
Yeah.
I took a longer track than most to complete my NS. So I completed in about 2.5 years. So while most of my NS friends they were going on ORD trips, I was in camp.
Okay.
And when I had my ORD trip, there was no one to go with because they all kind of started school already. So I was thinking, okay, should I go to Hong Kong? Should I go to China? And like these places that people would normally go. And then was also when I was healing from my breakup. So I needed something that was really spiritually healing.
Right.
So I decided, I have this budget. Why not I top up a little bit and go for Umrah instead? So I went to Azhar Travels at Golden Landmark and they didn't have an English guided tour, but the staff was so nice that they allowed me to. I think that it was really Allah that really blessed me with all these people in my life. He was so nice, the Pegawai was so nice because he offered for me to stay with him so that my cost could go down from like a double to a triple room. And coincidentally, the third person that was staying with us was the Ustaz that was on the trip. So I was sharing a room with both of them. And they would translate for me whatever happened that day. And one big thing about going for Umrah is always people say that it's an invitation for Umrah, right? And you don't get to go when you want to go. So I was thinking, okay, so like was I invited? Like,
I'm honored.
Right. I don't know whether I was invited yet before I paid for the trip. Because I went for Umrah on the 16th of April. I think I only paid for it on the 21st of March. So it was actually a very short notice. And I was thinking, should I go? Because I don't have the kind of knowledge that would allow me to perform it as well as other people did, right? And also the language barrier. So one of the ways that like I was guided to that decision was through my mom also. So I was like, okay, if my mom says yes, then it's acute as that's a goal for me. So I was like, okay, I learned from my previous lesson, I'm not going to text you in the WhatsApp anymore. So I got my family together on a nice dinner. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go to Saudi Arabia. It's going to be for 2 weeks. I'm going to do religious stuff. Which to a Chinese family, it will seem like you're going, like you're going to be radicalized, and they're like, no, like, you can't go. I was like, okay, you guys got it confused. Like, they have McDonald's there. It's really cheap.
They have Starbucks and everything.
Right, and I'm not going to be radicalized. But my mom being my mom and always supportive as usual, she also knew what Umrah was as a Malaysian. So she was like, okay, she had my back and she allowed me to go. So that was when, I knew that, probably that was my sign that it was my time to go there. So I went there to Umrah and like it was the best 2 weeks of my life. It was truly the best. I didn't know much, but I really felt like firstly, the community was there again. I went there knowing no one and alone. I was so scared that I would just be doing whatever I was doing alone. I wouldn't understand anything. And after that was also my first Ramadan alone as a Muslim. So I was also scared that I would spend Ramadan and Hari Raya without people to visit. But through Ramadan, I met so many people on the trip as well, and they all invited me to their Hari Raya visiting after that. So it was such a nice journey, and I totally recommend people to go for Umrah as soon as they can.
Yeah, inshallah, I have not been. Have you?
I have been when I was really young, like primary 3. Some memories of it.
Oh.
Yeah, very, very little memories. So I remember chasing a lot of pigeons.
Oh my god. Is that where your fear from birds?
I had no fear.
Fear of birds
I don't
come
know where
from?
this fear of pigeons came
We should
from.
go over time and just test it out.
But I think it's really amazing because I feel like a lot of Muslims have not taken that step to go for Umrah or Haji because they're not ready. I hear that, I mean, at least for me, like, I've heard that and I've used that excuse myself as well. It's like, oh, I'm not ready. But I think after listening to you, it's just, you probably will never be ready.
Yeah.
You just have to kind of like...
Take the plunge.
Yeah, take the plunge. Make the first step and put in the effort because inshallah, everything's going to work out for you like how it did for you.
Yeah.
So when was it? It was
19?
2019.
Oh.
Right. So 1.5 years I took my Shahada, then that period of 21st March to 16 April I learned about Umrah from Arkam. And then, like I used to say, I didn't know I was ready. Like even on the airplane I was like, okay, I'm supposed to feel something, right?
You just needed some message.
Then after that, like just as how I didn't feel anything, the feeling just came like extremely quickly. Like it was triggered by my friend texting me that, okay, you should say some emotional goodbyes to your family in case like you happen to pass away in Umrah, which a lot of people do actually. Like when we were at Umrah, after every prayer there will be a janazah because a lot of people pass away there, I think. Right? And it's also good as Muslims to die there so that you'll be one of the first who gets resurrected with the Prophet, in the Day of Judgment. So that's that. So when I was thinking of my emotional goodbyes, I started to tear and cry. And that's when I was like, I was fully let go of my life before and I just want to go for Umrah now. Right.
You just triggered her.
Oh no, her tissue box is here.
My tissue box is here.
But I really love the fact that, from your whole entire journey towards Islam, how God has helped you along the way. You've met so many new people, you have met a community, you created this, all the things that other people have done for you. You are actually right now passing it forward and, creating your Convert Central. And that's really amazing, I think. Yeah. I'm lost for words, to be honest. And I think one of the things that we were in discussions with one of my colleagues is that, when we're talking about Darul Akam, the first thing that you think about is, that's a place for reverts. But I think it's something that Muslims or born Muslims could also, go there and not fear judgment, because I don't think a lot of people are judgy, especially as in the mosque as well as the Darul Akam. So perhaps you could share some tips for Muslims or non-Muslims on taking the first step to go and, seek knowledge.
If you're in Singapore, you'll know that food is our number one priority. Food in Singaporeans are practically inseparable. It's literally the best ingredient for any occasion, any stress you got going on. Food solves everything. Because, for example, if it's your birthday, let's go eat. You got a promotion, you deserve a treat, sayang. You feel like pulling your hair out? Come on, I'll bring you for supper. Yeah, you get what I mean? It's literally perfect for everything. And of course, we want to tell you everything about it. Like places you didn't know were halal, or 12 new halal places you need to try this week, for example. We are determined to make your tummy bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger than last year or any time. So follow us on the blog to get all the insights at www.halaltrip.com. And of course, we are also on every social media platform at Halal Trip.
Actually, you're right, because like when I was attending class in Arkam, I think 60% of the students there were born Muslim. And
Oh, really?
a smaller proportion will be converts.
Okay.
Because a lot of Muslims also see Arkam as the first step to their learning, and if they are not good in Malay, then Arkam has English classes for them. So many of the younger generation Muslims will go there for their English classes, and they're free. So everyone likes free stuff. I mean, if I were to give an advice for them to take their first step, I would actually go with more of a unorthodox way of learning. Like Arkam has their own pathway of recommending where you should go, and it always starts with their physical campus, we call it the building. I would say that I think it's much easier to go online and start listening to those Islamic podcasts or videos. it doesn't have to be Convert Central. I actually started myself listening to Numali Khan. When I was in Australia, I didn't know anything but Numali Khan.
Yes,
so every day
yes.
I would listen to Numali Khan, how he would talk about Islam, and that was when I was inspired to come back to Singapore to learn about Islam. So I started my journey there, and I think many of us can also start there because I think like the overseas speakers, they have more freedom to talk about Islam,
Yep.
and that would allow them to speak more from their hearts.
Yeah.
I felt that as a new Muslim coming in, and then subsequently, if you want to know more, I think right now it's good that Arkam has a lot of virtual classes as well as the mosques, and most of them they have English versions of it. So you can start there, and eventually, I guess when circuit breaker stops and the buildings reopening, all the mosques are opening as well, then you can start finding a community. But right now, in terms of like community building, it's quite limited in the sense of what we're trying to do. Even in podcasts, we can only share what we have planned to share. It's hard to go into personal conversations. I guess we can hit up like forums once in a while, but do stick to a community that you can find so that you can continue building bonds there and strengthening them.
Yeah.
Try not to hop from places to places because it will feel like there's no follow-up.
That's actually really good advice. It kind of reminded me of Ida Azlin's phrase that she mentioned in one of her videos, something like each one of us is like a string in the tapestry of Allah or something like that. Yeah, that really spoke to me.
Very atas words.
It's not my words. But yeah.
Very true. I think there are only a couple of mosques in Singapore that I feel actually connected to, even though they are just filled with makciks and pakciks. But I feel most connected to like just that one specific mosque, and I really don't want to go anywhere else. That's true. What's
Are you
your?
going to tell us more?
Oh, sure. The mosque is just down the road. It's Masjid Qasim. Yes.
Okay. It's normally like the mosque that you grow up.
Yeah.
Every year,
Yeah.
Good, nice. All right, before we wrap it up, and thank you so much, and we would just want to find out your future plans for Convert Central and for yourself.
Before like we go into like future plans,
Sure.
I'd just like to give a shout out to the Conversational Team.
Mm.
So right now we are a team of 14. Last year we were a team of 12. So we did a whole like restructuring of the teams because some of them had to go to uni and they want to take up the commitment anymore. But I think it's from season 1 to season 3, it's really the team that's making all the cranks and all the small things work. Without the team, Convert Central wouldn't have been where they are, where we are right now. So really, I think if like Convert Central was 100%, like the guest speakers and whatever I do as a host, we are like 30, 40, and the rest is really the team. They are a mix of converts and born Muslims and second generation converts. That's what we term born Muslims whose parents are converts. So like, it's a good mixture, and they are really, really actually committed. So they really brought us to where we are today. And we wouldn't be able to make many of the things that we wanted to do possible without them. So I think even liaising with you guys on this podcast, it was also most of my marketing team that was doing the outreach. So only when I think today, when I had to come, I just texted you guys that I'm on the way. If not, they will let me know their DMs coming in. So thank you to the Conversational Team. Appreciate you guys.
The camera's there.
Thank you guys. So like this year we are doing season 3. We are gonna release twice a week as well. We're going to have different themes per month. So we are starting off our season 3 of our Ramadan series. We are going to do like our favorite du'as as converts. So right now we've interviewed about 2 to 3 converts, and it's going to be bite-sized 10 minutes episodes. So that we can help converts learn more du'as as well, the easier ones. So after Ramadan, we're going to do some Ramadan reflections, and we're going to our first series. And that's actually I don't think anyone has done that before in Singapore. So we're going to answer like questions about Islam in a circular fashion, because we realize that like when we come to Islam, right, what converts face as a struggle is that like most of the questions we ask, right, we are answered with like verses of the Quran. But at the point of time, we might not believe that the Quran is a basis of reference as a religious like substantiation yet. So we are trying to answer these questions, the same questions, in a way that hopefully it is more logical and more circular, so we can connect to more non-Muslims out there. So that's that. Down the line in July, we also have a series that will focus on different races. So we're hoping to get different hosts that can host in different language. So a Chinese podcast, a Tamil podcast, a Tagalog podcast as well. So inshallah, we hope that the different series that we bring in season 3 can bring more life into Convert Central, and hope that we can expand the kind of content that we offer to more demographics. We are also planning to do events in Darul Arqam, because now they have allowed us to use their grounds. So more forums, and I think we are going in a direction that we are going to be more personal and more conversations than a one-way event. So hopefully we can make that happen, maybe in Ramadan or after that in Shawwal. So look out for the events, follow us on our social media channels, to get these updates on podcasts and events.
Wow,
That's a lot of
plans.
exciting stuff.
He just told us like 1 year plan.
After circuit breaker, you guys are like on me. Do everything.
We're ready.
Right. Because I think the kind of feedback that we've had last year was immense, because I think there were at least 3 to 4 who came to us to tell us that, okay, because of the content that we shared, they are more assured that they want to become Muslims. So we really see the kind of impact, like regardless of the numbers we have on Instagram, the number of listeners, like if you're not benefiting anyone, then there's not much a point to our podcast. So we really rely on these like personal stories of people telling us how we benefit them to use it as motivation to move forward.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, we're very excited
very
too.
excited.
Yeah, you're just nearby anyway.
Super near, we're like right next to each other.
Right.
Yeah. And now that we are nearing Ramadan, what are you looking forward to the most?
I'm looking forward to I'm looking really forward to Tadarus. Like after we pray Isha, then Darul Arqam as a group of converts reading Quran together.
Yeah.
I feel like that's my only way this Ramadan to get a connection to the community. It's hard to get physical events in Arqam. So I think a big part of Ramadan, to feel like you're doing something as a Muslim, I think the easiest way is to be in a group of people.
Yeah.
So I'm really looking forward to that. Being in school as a year 2 uni student has really kind of brought me away from the community a little bit.
Right.
So I'm hoping through Ramadan it can bring me back to the community, get to see the people that I've always seen in Arqam again, to catch up with them. I haven't met most of them for like at least half a year now because of circuit breaker.
Inshallah.
Thank you so much, Siddique, for coming here and for sharing with us.
Yes,
your
very
journey.
enlightening as well.
For sharing with us, from the start until now.
Yes.
I think it's really inspiring. It's definitely kind of opened up my eyes and my mind a little bit. And I hope it has also done for you guys.
Yes, I really appreciate the fact that you're very transparent about your failures, and I think a lot of people would be able to relate to your story as well. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah.
It's just a very emotional episode. But I sucked it all back in.
Okay, that's not bad. You managed to have it under control.
Not bad.
It's still dry.
Not bad. Only one sheet.
Yes.
Some of my members also cry when we do our podcast recordings, so we listen to our stories. And they also suck back their tears because they don't want to ruin their makeup.
Oh my god.
So,
But I can imagine, man.
The priorities,
Oh my god, I can read it.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Thank you so much. And
Thank you for listening to this episode. Stay tuned for the next episode, guys. Goodbye.
bye. Alright guys, thanks for listening. So we'll see you on the next episode. Don't forget to give us a shout out on anchor.fm/the Halal Travel Podcast. Your voice message could be featured in our next episode.
Yep, and if you have any advertising and collaboration opportunities, contact us at info@halaltrip.com. That's info@halaltrip.com.
Also, don't forget to follow us on our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at Halal Trip. We're also now on Telegram and TikTok. Until next time, get inspired, go and inspire others.